Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and another video. Today we have a different kind of a prediction video. They obviously have released all of the American League at this point, Stage 3 Team Affinity guys, but they have 3 new legends, as we see right here. They have one for the Blue Jays, one for the Indians, one for the Angels. They have not announced these yet, so this video is going to be taking a crack at who this is going to be. So if you guys enjoy this kind of video, make sure to slap a like and subscribe on the channel. We're so close to 250 subscribers, it would be pretty sick to get there. These are obviously new legends that haven't been in at the game. I'm taking into account the overalls here. Obviously, they're not traditional. They're not Signature Series players necessarily, or awards cards, so they pretty much can do whatever they want with the overalls, but the assumption is going to be at some point in their career they were pretty good. So let's get into it. So the first guy here, we're going to go from east out to the west. We'll start with the Blue Jays first, obviously. Then we'll go Indians, Angels, because that's how geography works. But we'll go Blue Jays first. So I'm going to take a stab, maybe 2 or 3 per team, just at who I think it could potentially be. First guess here is going to be Vernon Wells. Now, Vernon Wells is a player who did not play for the Blue Jays for his entire career. He played for the Angels and the Yankees towards the latter end of his career. But it's a guy, when you think of him, you think of him as a Blue Jay. Now, he won 3 Gold Gloves. He won a Silver Slugger, had a crazy 2003 season. This kind of fits the area that they're looking at, I think, in like the early 2000s, late 90s. Obviously, his rookie year was 1999, but he played all the way to 2013. So he's not that old of a legend, but certainly there are newer guys in here like Michael Young who have played for that long at least. So I don't think this is a terrible guess. I think Vernon Wells, you could potentially see, what was it, a 97? Yeah, 97 overall for Vernon Wells. Like, that's certainly a possibility here for Vernon Wells. It seems like it kind of just makes sense. Like, I think you could piece this together, and he'll be a very balanced card, which I know probably not a lot of you guys are going to like. But he'll probably be a very balanced card. Has good defense, had good offense for at least a season. So that could be fun. Next guess is going to be Alex Rios. Now, Rios here, different than Vernon Wells. He played kind of all over the place. I think of him as a Blue Jay, but certainly some people could think of him as a White Sox, as he played a lot of his late 20s, early 30 years there. He did play for my favorite team, the Rangers, there for a couple of seasons, and he was rather forgettable, if we're being honest, and then finished up with the Royals. But for me personally, I think of him as being a Blue Jay, even though he only played like 5.5 seasons there maybe in Toronto. I still think of him as a Blue Jay. Now, did he play too recently? Maybe, but I don't know. New legends, they're kind of focusing on newer guys. Alex Rios, I don't feel like is a terrible guess. They could go back earlier than 2004, but I don't think Alex Rios is a terrible guess, because I think of him as a Toronto Blue Jay. So we'll see. Last guy here, and this one's going to be interesting. I'm going to argue my way to it. He's Roy Halladay, obviously, as you guys can see on the screen here. Hall of Famer, 2-time Cy Young. Now, he played pretty recently. He retired in 2013, so same kind of era as Vernon Wells and Alex Rios. He started as a Blue Jay. He played most of his career with the Blue Jays, actually. He finished up with the Phillies. Obviously had a great stint there to finish up his career with the Phillies, even winning a Cy Young in his first year in Philadelphia. But for most of his career, he was a Toronto Blue Jay. Now, he was crazy. Now, the argument's going to be, well, they would give him a 99 probably. And you'd be right, but I feel like there's nothing that says they couldn't give him a 99 with the Phillies at some point, with this Cy Young card, maybe later down the line. I don't know. This one's a little bit further out there, guess-wise, than, Vernon Wells or Alex Rios. But Roy Halladay, I don't know if he's a new legend, but it would at least be interesting. I think there's at least a possibility that he winds up being the guy. Next up here for the Cleveland Indians, we have a 99 overall card. This card's going to be pretty good. I'm thinking they're going to give us a hitter. I don't know why I kind of guessed that, but the Indians 99, I feel like it'll be a hitter. Now we're going to start with Albert Bell. I think Albert Bell is interesting and not a player a lot of people are probably talking about for this guy. Jim Thome is an obvious guess, and we'll cover him here in just a minute. But Albert Bell played most of his career with the Indians, played in the 90s, which is kind of the era we're guessing because that's the era they said they were going to be focusing on earlier in the year when they're adding legends. Now, he's won, what, 5 Silver Sluggers there? 4 of them in a row for Cleveland. Multiple-time All-Star, which doesn't mean a ton because it's a fan vote, but, like, still. He had crazy OPS pluses. Like, I think you could give Albert Bell a 99 as a new legend. And I also don't think Albert Bell is a guy you necessarily have to announce going into the game like you do David Ortiz or Mariano Rivera, because those are bigger names, certainly. But Albert Bell, I don't feel like he's moving the needle for anybody except for maybe Cleveland Indians fans. So I think Albert Bell, like, he's probably a reasonable guess and one that maybe not a lot of people are thinking. Now, we'll cover this other one here, Jim Thome, just quickly. I've talked about him before in a past video, so I'm not going to go super in-depth here. He played a lot of he played like a decade in Cleveland. Now, some people, like myself, for whatever reason, when I think of Jim Thome, I think of Jim Thome as a Philly for 3 years. Don't know why. Also played for the White Sox literally for longer. Fun fact, he played for the Dodgers. I didn't know that till just right now looking at it. But for the most part, Jim Thome is a Cleveland Indian. Now, he's certainly deserving of a 99 card if he was in the game. Obviously, multiple-time All-Star, won a Silver Slugger, crazy OPSs, crazy OPS plus throughout his career. Jim Thome, it would make a lot of sense if he was the Indians guy for them to give him a 99. So it could happen. He'd be a first baseman probably with a third base secondary. But it could happen. It could happen. The last guy we're going to guess here is Victor Martinez. This is another guy probably not a lot of people are going to think about, but we're going to guess him. 2-time Silver Slugger, 5-time All-Star. He took a gap year in 2012. I feel like that was due to injury there in Detroit, but he definitely started there in Cleveland. Now, for a lot of people, you're going to think of him as a Tiger. Understandable. I actually have an action figure of him. Let's see if I can grab it. When I was younger, I collected action figures, so I have an action figure of him on the Boston Red Sox. So that's fun. But for the most part, again, besides Detroit, Cleveland, I think he played there about an equal amount of times. He actually played in Cleveland for 1 more year, though less games, according to this bottom line. Now, is he deserving of a 99? Maybe not as much as Albert Bell and Jim Thome, but I mean, he's certainly deserving of a good card, in my opinion. He, a switch-hitting catcher / first baseman. Now, it's basically Carlos Santana over again, so that may not excite a lot of Indians fans. If you already have Carlos Santana, you're like, wow, Victor Martinez is just that again, which fair, but I don't know. Like, that could be an interesting guy. For the last team here, we have the LA Angels, formerly the Anaheim Angels. This one's a 97, so he's not going to be as good as the Indians guy, but equal to the Blue Jays guy, obviously, because of how numbers and math works. So we'll take a look at 3 guys again, as seems to be the theme. My first guess here is Tim Salmon, or Salmon. Tim Salmon, I'm going to say, because that's how I pronounce the fish, as salmon. If it's salmon, let me know in the comment section, I guess. But he looks like he could be a guy. Now, he won Rookie of the Year one time. He won a Silver Slugger. He's won a World Series with the Angels in 2002, obviously, that says right there. A lifetime Angel, I believe. Started with California. Then they were the Anaheim Angels for a while. Then he finished up with the LA Angels. So all of these guys, Angels, out 2005. But for his 14 years, he played on the Angels. So this is a guy I feel like Angels fans would get behind. And this could be the card. A pretty good hitter for his career. Obviously, a 128 OPS plus means he was 28% above league average, and that's era adjusted. So he's going to be a pretty good hitter. He had 1,600 hits, which isn't a crazy amount, but like, I don't know. I feel like Tim Salmon could potentially, he could be the guy for sure. He's at least a guy that would be interesting. Now my next guess here is going to be Chone Figgins or Chone Figgins. I like Chone Figgins better because I don't think it's Chone, but I guess it could be. I mean, the Angels guys just all of their names are impossible to pronounce. I guess they look simple, like Chone Figgins or Chone Figgins. There's only two ways you could potentially pronounce that, but I'm not sure which one it is. So Chone Figgins here, not a great hitter, so this would be more of a speed threat, I would think, if I remember his career correctly. He did have stretches where he was an above average hitter, though it was just barely. But I mean, he walked a ton, I feel like. He had an okay average. 2007 really was his best year, hitting 330 with a 117 OPS plus. He had, what, 3 homers? So, a real power threat there. But Chone Figgins' real threat was his speed, even at third base. I mean, 62 stolen bases in 2005. He had a long stretch there with 30 plus, and a stretch here, even with this year cut out, he had 40 plus. If you just cut that 1 year out, which I know it's not how streaks work, but you get the idea. So Chone Figgins, I don't know, just because they've had Brandon Marsh was the outfielder. They got the future stars. Ohtani was a pitcher. Chone Figgins could make a lot of sense there at third base or second base, wherever you wanted to put him. Also, apparently played some outfield. So he could be interesting if they boosted his card to a 97. Last guess here is Troy Glaus. Now, he's on the same team with Salmon. Played at about the same time. 2-time Silver Slugger. 4-time All-Star. Won a World Series MVP. He played a majority of his time in Anaheim. Started in the 90s, just retired in 2010 actually. But he's going to be interesting to me. He had some pop, especially early in his career, had years with 30 plus homers, had crazy OPS plus years, really good OPS just in general years. I think Troy Glaus could easily get a 97 overall, especially with the way they're kind of juicing these cards. And there's no set formula that they've released, so they can pretty much do whatever they want. I think Troy Glaus kind of fits. I don't feel like you get back-to-back outfielders in these programs, probably, since you just got Marsh in the last one. They'll probably give you an infielder or catcher or something. So I feel like Troy Glaus kind of fits that, but that's not guaranteed, obviously. So I don't know. Those are my 3 guesses for each team. Let me know how you guys, what you guys think is going to happen. Let me know if you think I got these guys right or not. And of course, I will catch you guys in the next one.